Under the flickering lights of Outpost 09, the air always felt a little too thin, like reality itself was stretched. The station orbited a dead star, its gravitational pulse barely strong enough to keep the crumbling platform from drifting into forgotten space. Among the 1,000 inhabitants, no one talked about Cell 7. Not out loud, not unless they wanted the lights to flicker and the oxygen vents to hiss like whispers from another realm. Jax knew better than to believe in curses. He was a systems engineer, grounded in diagnostics and rusted bolts, not ghosts or galactic nonsense. But the station was failing more than usual. Hallways blinked in and out. Time would skip during system scans. Command blamed Vera. He'd only seen her on a flickering feed, eyes glowing faint violet, hair like black smoke drifting in 0G. She never moved, just sat there in silence as if waiting for something, or someone. It was shift change when the corridor sealed behind him. Jax had taken a shortcut through maintenance when the bulkhead slammed shut. Lights dimmed, the hum of the station dipped. Ahead, at the far end of the hall, behind reinforced glass, sat Cell 7. He froze, not from fear, but the quiet. It felt wrong, hollow, like sound was being swallowed. She was there, standing, not sitting, not restrained. Her eyes met his. He couldn't move, not because he was paralyzed, but because he didn't want to. Her eyes weren't glowing. They were watching. Alarms didn't blare. No containment bots rushed in. The station held its breath. For 10 seconds, they stared at each other. Then she tilted her head, not like a predator, but like someone seeing color for the first time. Jax exhaled slowly. He raised his hand. Her gaze flickered to the movement. She blinked once. Then, softly, impossibly, she smiled. The lights snapped back to full power. The corridor unsealed. He didn't tell anyone. Days passed. Systems kept glitching, but Jax noticed a pattern. The failures weren't random. They centered around her cell. He started sneaking diagnostic tools into the zone, under the excuse of power fluctuation control. No one questioned the guy who fixed things. Each time he passed her, she was standing now, always waiting. She never spoke, but their eyes always locked. Sometimes she placed her palm against the glass. He never touched it back. Not yet. He began, leaving messages, tiny etchings carved behind loose panels. Simple questions. Can you read this? Are you aware of what's happening? Do you want help? Nothing grand, just probes. They vanished every time he returned, replaced by symbols, spirals, lines, loops that bent in ways language shouldn't. He couldn't decode them, but he recognized patterns, shapes repeating in intervals, not random, communicative. Jax started to dream, not ordinary dreams. Vivid, overwhelming visions of standing on alien ground while space fractured above like breaking glass. A girl, alone, surrounded by silent figures. Their eyes, void of color. Her scream echoed without sound. He always woke, gasping. Vera's symbols changed. One day, she wrote something resembling his name, Jax, spelled wrong, but unmistakable. That day, he stayed longer outside the cell. She watched him, calm, unblinking. He said aloud, "I don't think you're a curse." Her hand twitched. "Someone put you here. Someone afraid." She closed her eyes. The lights above them dimmed and pulsed. He should have left then, but something deep in his gut, older than logic, more real than caution, kept him there. "I think they locked you away because they didn't understand you." Her eyes opened, brighter. Not glowing, but aware. Jax stepped closer to the glass. "If you can understand me, nod." Nothing. Silence stretched. Then she slowly inclined her head once. It felt like a seismic event. He backed away carefully, heart pounding, not from fear, but from confirmation. She wasn't inert, Not broken, not lost. She was awake, aware, and very much alive. Back at his quarters, he started sketching her symbols, lining them up, comparing the dreams to what he'd seen. There was a rhythm to it, almost musical, like math expressed through art. He didn't know what it meant yet, but she was trying. Command grew more agitated, more failures, a blackout that nearly exposed them to vacuum. The decision was made. Purge Cell 7. The official word was Containment Breach Protocol. Jax knew what that meant. Erasure. He had one shift left before they did it. When the night cycle came, he walked straight to the corridor. No excuses, no cover. He didn't even carry tools. She was there, waiting, watching. He placed his hand on the glass. She mirrored him. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Time, sound, even gravity seemed to hesitate. And then, the impossible happened. The glass between them shimmered and vanished. The moment the glass dissolved, Jax stumbled forward, not expecting the barrier to simply cease existing. His boots scuffed against the smooth floor, and he caught himself just before falling. She was inches away. No alarms, no red lights. Just a silence so profound it felt sacred. Vera stood perfectly still, her violet eyes watching him, neither welcoming nor hostile. Just there, present, aware. The air in her cell was colder, thinner. It shimmered faintly, like the room was wrapped in an unseen veil. The floor under Jax's feet hummed, subtle but unmistakable. He felt as though he were standing in a place not entirely tethered to their world. Vera tilted her head again, the same slow motion he'd come to recognize. She wasn't confused. She was studying him, calculating. "You dropped the shield," he whispered. It sounded absurd once spoken. She hadn't moved. There were no controls, no interface. The system had just obeyed her, or collapsed because of her. Her lips parted. "You stayed." Her voice was low and textured, like echo carried through crystal. Perfect, strange, human-like, but not. Jax nodded. "They're going to kill you." "I know." Her calm response unsettled him more than panic would have. She stepped closer. No sound, no threat, just motion. He didn't retreat. "You shouldn't be here," she added. "Neither should you." That made her pause. For the first time, something flickered in her expression, a hesitation, regret, hope. He couldn't tell. Her face was unreadable, like trying to interpret the wind. "I want to understand," he said, carefully. "Whatever you are, whatever's happening to you." Vera looked past him, toward the corridor door, then back to his face. "Understanding me is dangerous. I'll take the risk." The hum in the room deepened. His skin tingled. His vision blurred for half a second, like the world blinked. She reached out a hand, not fast, not sudden, gentle, intentional. He met it halfway. Her fingers brushed his palm. His heart stuttered. Images exploded behind his eyes. Not dreams this time. Memories. He was no longer in Outpost 09. He stood in a different sky, one filled with auroras bending like liquid across shattered moons. The ground beneath him pulsed with strange energy, and creatures of translucent light floated overhead. He saw a younger version of her, surrounded by beings wrapped in robes, their faces hidden beneath veils of shadow. She was speaking a language his brain couldn't parse, yet he understood. They told her she had broken something, that she was unstable, dangerous. She begged them, not for power, for help. They turned their backs. He snapped back, gasping, disoriented. Vera stepped back, withdrawing her hand. He staggered against the wall, heart racing, mind still adjusting. "What was that?" he asked. "My memory, given to you." That place. That wasn't a planet. No, it was a threshold. A threshold to what? Her eyes dimmed slightly, like a star clouding over. To the other layer. He leaned against the wall, trying to ground himself. You're not from our dimension, are you? I am both. Anchored here, but threaded elsewhere. It's why they fear me. I'm not what they can measure. He laughed, short and breathless. That makes two of us. She smiled a little, almost sad. You are measurable. You're the only fixed point in this entire place. I fix pipes and failing wiring, that's all. No, you fix what's unraveling, even me. Before he could respond, the floor trembled faintly. The overhead lights blinked, once, twice, then went red. A low tone vibrated through the walls. Jax's stomach dropped. They activated the purge. They will erase this section entirely. He looked at her, the gravity of the situation settling between them. Then we're getting out. You can't escape the station. It's sealed. Then we break something. Vera stared at him. You've touched the threshold. I show you more. Can I survive it? I don't know. He stepped toward her. Then let's find out. She raised both hands this time, placing them against his temples. He didn't flinch. The moment she closed her eyes, the world around them shattered. Reality melted. Colors tore apart. Sound fractured into geometric shards. Jax felt his body stretch across time, past memories not his own, into futures unwritten. He stood in a version of himself made from glass. He shattered and reassembled with thoughts that weren't his. Echoes of wars, births, endings, songs sung in languages older than matter. He came back to himself on the floor of a corridor that was no longer metal. Beneath his body was soft grass, silver and blue, glowing faintly in the dark. A sky of unfamiliar constellations stretched above them. No station, no alarms. Vera stood nearby, calm as ever. He sat up slowly. Where are we? I bent the fold. We passed through the tear. You phased the entire room out of existence? No. I peeled us between. Jax stood unsteadily. You could have done this all along. You phased the entire room out of existence? No. I peeled us between. Jax stood unsteadily. You could have done this all along? I needed a fixed point. Someone to tether the jump. You were the first to see me without fear. They stood in silence, surrounded by a world untouched by civilization. What is this place? A forgotten world between systems. The Council once used it as a way station before erasing its records. No one knows it still exists. Jax looked around, marveling. So what now? Vera looked at him, eyes glowing faintly once more. Not in threat, but in connection. Now I try not to break everything around me, and maybe learn to exist. Jax grinned, tired but amazed. Then let's start with not blowing up the planet. She didn't smile, but her gaze warmed. This time, when she offered her hand, he took it without hesitation. The wind on the forgotten world didn't move like air should. It whispered without sound, tugging at the edges of reality like a half-remembered dream. Trees shimmered, translucent and tall, their branches arching skyward like frozen waves. The stars above remained unfamiliar, their constellations twisting, slowly across a sky brushed with violet clouds. Jax sat beside a curved stone structure, breathing in the cool, metallic scent of the air. Vera knelt nearby, drawing patterns in the soil with her fingertips. Wherever she touched, the ground reacted, brief pulses of light flaring and fading in soft colors. It was quiet, but not empty. This place thrummed with something beneath the surface. Life, maybe. Or memory. He watched her, still unsure where the boundaries of her power ended. She didn't speak often. When she did, it always meant something. How long can we stay here? He asked. As long as we're forgotten. That doesn't sound reassuring. It's the only kind of safe that exists for people like me. Jax leaned back against the stone, watching the swirling sky. You said this world was hidden by the Council. Why? They used to experiment here, with the fold, with perception. They opened too many doors, and something answered. He frowned. What kind of something? She traced a tight spiral into the soil. One that doesn't care what shape. You are. Jax decided not to ask more. Not yet. He stood, stretching his arms above his head. So, we're exiles. Trapped in paradise. She looked up at him. You could leave. No ship. No coordinates. No idea where we are. If I focused, I could take you back. And leave you here alone? That would be safest. For whom? For you. He stepped toward her, closing the distance. I've been running repairs on a broken station for 5 years. Safety's overrated. Her gaze didn't waver. You saw what I showed you. I'm tethered to more than one existence. When I'm unstable, things unravel. Then don't be unstable. It's not that simple. It never is, he murmured. She stood, and something shifted in the air between them. The light dimmed as if a great cloud had passed overhead, though nothing moved. Vera's hand rose. She pointed beyond the tree line. We're not alone. Jax turned. At the edge of the forest, a tall figure stood, draped in robes of glassy white, its face hidden beneath a hood. Around it, space shimmered, distorted, twitching at the seams. That one of yours? He asked. No. Friend? No. The figure stepped forward. The ground where it walked rippled like disturbed water. Vera's entire posture shifted, tense, braced, not afraid, but ready. I thought this world was forgotten. It was. The figure stopped a dozen paces away. It raised a hand, not in greeting, but in pause. Jax took an instinctive step closer to Vera. You are not permitted here, the figure said, voice layered in discordant echoes. This threshold is sealed. Vera didn't blink. You have no claim. The figure tilted its head. You brought an anchor. I brought a witness. Jax looked between them, feeling every hair on his arms stand on end. Who exactly are you? I am a warden of the fold, it replied. She is a fracture, Vera's voice dropped. I am not yours to catalogue. You are unstable. Your access to dimensional threads is unsanctioned. Jax stepped forward. She's not unstable, she's evolving. The warden shifted slightly. You misunderstand what she is. That which folds can also tear. She has already begun to unravel fixed points. She will not stop. She's learning control. She cannot. She was not designed to. Vera's fists clenched. I was not made. I was born. That distinction is semantic. I'm more than your schema. You are an anomaly. Jax placed himself fully between them. She's a person. The warden's tone didn't change. Then she will be unmade as a person. Without... Warning, the sky cracked. A jagged bolt of color, orange, green, and void, split the atmosphere. The wind howled in all directions. The trees bent away. Vera raised both arms, and reality quivered. Jax was thrown backward, hitting the ground hard. The air vibrated. The warden stepped through the collapse, extending a hand toward Vera. She didn't retreat. Instead, she whispered a phrase, not in words, but in thought. The world pulsed in reply. Light exploded outward in concentric waves. Jax struggled to rise. He saw Vera glowing, not just with energy, but with something ancient, something buried in her DNA. It wasn't rage. It wasn't fear. It was defiance, rooted in identity. The warden faltered. Vera spoke clearly. I will not fold. She raised her hand and pressed her fingers into the air like pushing against glass. The space twisted. A sudden crack echoed, followed by a thunderous pull. The warden was yanked backward, its shape disintegrating as it was dragged into a closing vortex, its form shattering into fragmented time before vanishing completely. Silence. Slammed down like a physical force. Jax staggered to her. What was that? A test. Did we pass? She looked at him. We weren't the ones being tested. He placed a hand on her arm, grounding both of them. Her skin still shimmered with residual energy, but she allowed the touch. Jax took a breath. Are more coming? Now that one found us, yes. He glanced at the sky. Then we should move. She didn't respond immediately. No, we must go deeper. Deeper. There's something buried beneath this world. A vault. A memory locked before the council fell. It may hold the key to what I really am. He blinked. We're digging into old wounds now? No, she said. We're digging for truth. Gave a weak smile. Lead the way, glitch goddess. She turned, the ghost of a smile on her lips. Stay close, anchor. They walked into the trembling forest together, unaware that far above them, beyond the sky, the stars had begun to whisper again. The forest thickened as they moved farther from the shimmering grove, each step taking them deeper into terrain that didn't obey the rules of normal biology. Trees with shifting bark pulsed with internal veins of glowing light, and leaves whispered in languages that were not spoken but remembered. The deeper they went, the less stable the landscape became. Time stuttered in strange moments. Birds, looping mid-flight, shadows reversing direction, roots uncoiling instead of growing. Vera walked ahead without hesitation, following a path only she could perceive. Jax remained close, glancing behind often. The silence had changed. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It was expectant. The world was watching them. How do you know this vault exists? He asked, brushing aside a vine that vanished as soon as he touched it. I remember pieces, echoes. My people left fragments hidden in places like this. Places between, like you. She looked back at him briefly. Yes, like me. They came upon a clearing ringed with black stones, each one humming with low-frequency vibrations that resonated in the bones rather than the ears. Vera stepped into the circle. Jax hesitated at the edge, the air here denser, harder to breathe. Vera extended both hands and began tracing symbols mid-air. Threads of light spilled from her fingers, weaving complex shapes that shifted too quickly to follow. The stones responded, first with pulses, then with a sound like memory being scraped from a surface. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The center of the circle began to collapse inward, revealing a spiraling staircase made of transparent stone that led beneath the surface. The walls shimmered with images too fleeting to grasp, moments frozen in time and immediately lost again. Jax followed her down, steps echoing into the unknown. The deeper they descended, the less he felt connected to his body. His thoughts slowed, his breath seemed delayed. At one point, he reached out to grip the railing, only to find it wasn't there anymore, or never had been. They emerged into a vast chamber, perfectly spherical, its interior lit by no visible source. Symbols etched into the walls shifted in and out of phase, vanishing if stared at too long. In the center hovered a crystalline monolith, slowly rotating. This is it, Vera said. Her voice barely carried, as though even sound hesitated here. What is it? An origin. A record of what we were before we fell. Jax moved slowly, observing everything. The closer he came to the monolith, the more he felt a pressure in his skull. Like thoughts not his own were pressing inward. You said your people fell. Why? Because we reached too far. We saw the threads of the universe and thought we could pull them freely. He looked at her. And you were one of them. I was born after. A convergence of what remained. Jax reached toward. the monolith, but Vera stopped him. It must read you first. If it rejects your presence, it will collapse. Then let it read. He stepped forward. The crystal flared with light, and suddenly, the chamber exploded with motion. Images surrounded them, thousands of moments, voices, realities colliding in an instant. Jax saw Vera, millions of versions of her living, dying, being hunted, revered, erased, crowned, imprisoned. He saw the world above them burned, thriving, shattered, reborn. He fell to his knees. Vera rushed to his side. "You're still here. Focus." I saw too much. Too fast. The monolith is searching. It's looking for a link. It's me, isn't it? She nodded. You're not just an anchor. You're a mirror. It's reflecting possibility through you. Jax stood shakily. The light began to condense into a single image, a doorway, ancient and sealed with 7 layered locks. Vera approached it, her fingers trembling. I've seen this door in dreams I didn't know were mine. What's behind it? My choice. She stepped forward, but the moment her hand neared the seal, the chamber convulsed violently. Alarms, alien in tone, screamed from nowhere. The sphere shook. Cracks formed across the curved walls. Jax pulled Vera back as the monolith fractured, light leaking like blood. A presence spilled into the room, cold, vast, unknowable. It found us, Vera whispered. The warden wasn't alone. From the broken walls emerged a figure far taller than the one they'd faced before. It didn't walk. It slid. Its form distorting light and space as it moved. No face, no limbs, just presence, a living void draped in the illusion of form. You are unauthorized, it hissed, though no mouth moved. Vera shielded Jax with her body. You're not part of the fold. You're something older. The being pulsed. I am the null. The fold was built to keep me out. You broke the door. Jax felt something clawing at the edges of his thoughts. Cold fingers, endless hunger. It's inside my mind. Don't let it root, Vera said, taking his hand. Focus on me. I don't know how. Trust me. He gripped her tighter. The chamber around them cracked further. Vera turned to the shattered monolith. I can use it. I can collapse the room, seal it again. What happens to you? I don't matter. You do. She hesitated, eyes flickering. Then don't let go. She released his hand and stepped into the light of the monolith. Her form began to glow, pieces of her unraveling as she pulled the structure inward. The null screamed, a sound that tore at logic. Jax screamed too, but he ran forward, grabbing Vera's hand again before she could vanish completely. You said I was the tether, he yelled. So anchor to me. She screamed in defiance and wrapped her other arm around him. The monolith exploded. Light swallowed the chamber, and then nothing. When vision returned, they lay on the forest floor, gasping. The vault entrance had vanished. The black stone ring was cracked. Vera sat up first. We sealed it. Jax nodded slowly. What now? She looked at the stars, her expression unreadable. Now we run. No, he said, brushing dirt from her face. Now we fight. The sky bled orange as twilight descended over the fractured forest. What once shimmered with surreal beauty now hung heavy, as if the null's presence had poisoned the light itself. Trees sagged, their luminous veins dimmed. The wind carried a static charge that hummed in Jax's ears and turned his thoughts. Sluggish. Vera stood with her back to him, eyes locked on the horizon. A rift pulsed above the tree line, a wound in the sky that hadn't closed. Through it, streaks of darkness writhed, shifting like tendrils searching for something left behind. There. Not done, she said, her voice, once ethereal, now held weight. Purpose. Jax approached carefully, fatigue etched into every movement. You sealed the vault. That should have stopped them. They were never after the vault. That was bait. A doorway to lure me. To draw you out. To confirm I still exist, she replied, her gaze never leaving the sky. And now they know I'm bonded to someone outside the fold. Then we make that bond a problem they can't ignore. She turned, surprised by the fire in his words. You'd face extinction. For me? He didn't hesitate. For what? You are. For what they tried to erase. The forest trembled again. Vera closed her eyes. They're sending something larger. I can feel it threading through the rift. A mind engine, Jax's brow furrowed. What is that? A convergence weapon. It doesn't destroy matter. It rewrites it. How do we stop it? We don't. Not without help. Jax stepped closer. Then who do we call? Vera looked skyward. There's a world in the ninth arc, abandoned, but its systems still listen. You think it'll hear you? I was born from its resonance. It remembers me. They moved quickly. Vera pulled threads of space with her, condensing distance. Time became fragmented. Stepping between realities, they bypassed planets without names and bypassed suns that hadn't been born yet. Jax felt each shift like a deep breath held too long. They arrived above a lifeless planet, encased in rings of shattered machines. Dead satellites drifted in slow orbit, their signals lost to static. Below, metallic ruins formed a broken lattice, an ancient structure once capable of tuning reality like an instrument. They landed near a jagged spire protruding from the crust. It hummed weakly, like a throat clearing after centuries of silence. Vera knelt, pressing her palms to the ground. Wake, she whispered. The earth answered. A tremor rolled outward. Blue light crawled across the ruins, filling old circuitry, reactivating dormant systems. The lattice responded to her presence, reconfiguring in real time. Panels unfolded, spires aligned. Drones emerged from underground vaults, hovering silently. Jax looked around, overwhelmed. What is this place? The source engine. My people designed it to tune frequency states, used to bridge realities, rewrite decay, heal the fold. Why was it abandoned? Because it began choosing who it listened to. And it chose you? It's choosing us, she said, looking directly at him. Our bond changed the pattern. A new vibration filled the air. The sky above darkened, not from nightfall, but from something vast entering this layer of space. A shape, blacker than shadow, spread across the stars. The mind engine had arrived. It didn't resemble a ship. It was thought-made form, structured like an idea more than matter. Vera stepped forward, and the ground beneath her responded, energy collecting, focusing. It's scanning me, she said. Testing my threads. Jax took position beside her. Let it look. The darkness rippled. Then it moved. A beam, not of light, but of rewritten probability, descended from the sky. Where it struck, the world unraveled. Stones ceased to be. Air twisted into impossible geometries. The source engine screamed. Vera raised both hands, countering the beam with a sphere of pulsing resonance. Jax placed his palm to the core of the control lattice, focusing on her. The structure acknowledged them both, bonded anchors in synchrony. Together, they tuned the field. The resonance sphere expanded. A harmonic frequency pulsed outward, causing the mind engine's beam to stutter. The weapon trembled mid-strike, as if unsure it still existed. Vera's hair lifted in the static wind. Her skin glowed from within, casting ghost light across the ruins. I can't hold it alone, she said through clenched teeth. You're not alone, Jax answered, gripping her hand. Channel through me. The bond deepened. The lattice synced with their combined presence. Jax felt her memories surge, stars collapsing, realities bending, pain older than language. He held fast, absorbing it all without retreating. The source engine roared, a column of pure, resonant force blasted upward, piercing the mind engine's core. The sky shattered like glass. Sound vanished. The rift collapsed inward, folding space into a single point before blinking out entirely. Silence returned. The ground cooled. The lattice powered down. The sky healed, scarless. Vera collapsed to her knees, gasping. Jax caught her before she hit the stone. "You okay?" She looked at him, eyes tired but peaceful. "We closed the loop," he smiled. "So, no more cosmic." "Mind weapons?" She gave the faintest laugh. "Not today." They stood together beneath a sky that now welcomed stars again. "What now?" he asked. "We rebuild." "Here?" "No," she said, squeezing his hand. "Everywhere." He nodded slowly. "Together?" Her eyes held the depth of all she had endured and all she still hoped for. "Always." In the silence, something ancient smiled. The source engine, now at rest, quietly recorded a new pattern. 2 frequencies intertwined, no longer feared, no longer hunted, but free.